what am I going to watch tonight? I've done Curse of Chucky. I could do the Halloween franchise. Screw it. It's 75 years of Superman, guys. Let's talk. So, I can't believe I haven't done it yet. I am probably one of the world's biggest Superman fans out there. I've been reading the comics since the age that I actually started reading, which was about 4. So, yeah, didn't understand stuff so well then, but I was an early reader. I guess it was just a way to show you how geeky I was going to become. But Superman, 75 years. Since Siegel and Schuster first took the Man of Steel and put him into that to the original Action Comics. I am a huge Superman fan. I spent a bit of time in the hospital as a kid due to the fact that, well, I had epilepsy. I still do, except that I take pills for it now, which is a good thing. And but back then they didn't have my medication quite worked out, so not a good thing. Trips to the hospital meant lots of comic books. And if you're a kid and you go to the hospital, normally your parents bring you in comics. And my grandparents were always bringing me in comics. So I got to read a lot of stuff. I became pretty much the comic aficionado. And even when I was out, I was always reading comics. I was going to the local drugstore, or I was going to the local shop down the road, buying a bunch of comics. But what always caught my interest, I always loved the Superman series. And of course, growing up in the time that I did, I got to see Superman the movie. And 1978, I think, the original Superman film came out. And I have them all now because my better half, before she became my better half and was just a good friend actually, she got me this. And yes, there's a Blu-ray set that came out, but this thing is just too beautiful for me to give up. Even if I got the Blu-ray set, I don't think I'd ever give this up. This tin edition of Superman is just pretty freaking awesome. Anyway, the first movie came out, and as a kid, I was awestruck. I was blown away. I'm not sure if it's all over North America, but here, when I went to school, we had book sheets that you would get, like 4 pages in color. Scholastic Books, it was called. Scholastic Book Club. I'm not sure if they still do it now, but when I was a kid, we had the Scholastic Book Club, and one of the first things I remember getting around that time period was there was a Superman book. It was kind of like an exercise, and picture a regular exercise. It's like that, except one of those big oversized books, and it's all glossy paper, and there's pictures from the making of the film, and little synopsis of the film, and other little facts and stuff like that. I was blown away by that. Around that time, there were like teen magazines that came in Scholastics, like Dynamite and stuff like that I would collect to get anything I could on different superheroes and comic books and stuff like that. But Superman really struck a chord with me early on, and I'm not sure what it was. I think a lot of it had to do with some of the cast members, some of the villains. Superman was never like the cool guy that Batman was. He was more of the Boy Scout character at times, and I was pretty straight edge when I was young, especially. So the Superman character really made me feel pretty good about myself. Maybe too much so, maybe obnoxiously so, but I did feel pretty good about myself back then. Being, a kid and, being able to not drink or do drugs and stuff, just like they said in the cartoon shows, growing up around the time. So Superman proliferated the world. Movies, cartoons, comic books, everywhere you look, Superman was there. Batman at the time had not become into the movie fold, and he wouldn't until 1989 really, if there was the Batman TV series. But aside from that, you were pretty much, that's what you had. Spider-Man was a bust on TV with the television show. And it did have a couple of interesting cartoon shows, but overall Superman tended to be the one to really go there. And even in the mid 80s, they did a Ruby Spears Superman cartoon that was pretty freaking awesome. The cartoon itself had hit and miss episodes, but there's this 2-minute thing where it was basically the early life of Superman basically from Super Baby to Super Boy to Super Teen to on up. That was really freaking fantastic. So I got some real thirsty. Now Superman 1 comes out, and I wasn't that impressed with Lex Luthor, to be honest with you. I love Gene Hackman as Popeye Doyle. I love Gene Hackman in many, many things. But I winced at some of the lines that he had to do in Superman. Now, I understand back then it was a very different time, but even as a child back then, it really didn't ring to me that he was a true villain for the Man of Steel. So although I really enjoyed the film, I did, even as a kid, think it was kind of long. And when Superman 2 came out, that's when I was won over. Superman 2 had General Zod, it had villains, it had Kryptonian villains, had epic fights and that you would not see again until, well, the Superman movie that just came out. And I saw this with my entire class. We all saw this one together in the theater. There's my Newfoundland accent coming out. It was incredible. The fights, the action, Superman revealing that he's Superman to Lois Lane in Niagara Falls. That kiss that made absolutely no sense at all has been lampooned in Robot Chicken so well. It just... Overall, it was an incredible film. It wouldn't be until this set came out here that I was actually got to see the other version of Superman 2. And yeah, it's pretty good, but I liked the original Superman 2 in the theater. I really did. Donner's version's pretty good, but I liked Lester's. Superman 3 came along. I went to see it. I think I saw Superman 3. They were probably making it when I was up in Alberta. So I got to see parts of Superman 3, probably very close up. That's been a long time. I remember seeing the movie itself in theater, and I could not believe that, having seen the trailer to Superman 3, I'd seen the entire film. No, really, go back and find that trailer. YouTube that trailer for Superman 3. You'll see that they go and they do the whole movie. You don't need to see the movie if you've seen that trailer. All the good stuff, and there's not much of that. So all the good stuff that's in the movies, in the trailer, plus some extra stuff as well. This is definitely not a Superman movie. It's a Richard Pryor movie, and it doesn't work on either count. Richard Pryor is not funny in the film. Superman is not interesting in this film. And the only interesting thing for me is that Lana was there. And Lana. I had a huge crush on the actress. Annette O'Toole, I think, because I think she played Superman's mom in Smallville. And then came Superman 4. And I thought to myself, well, there's a supervillain. I know there's Nuclear Man. I thought it was kind of odd that in some of the stills, Nuclear Man looked like a different actor completely. And apparently that's because originally there were two Nuclear Men in the film. There was the one that we see Superman fighting, and there's the one that fails first that causes the creation of the second Nuclear Man. Yeah, I know, a little fact aside. Anyway, Superman 4 starts out with him getting a letter from a little boy that tells him that he doesn't like nuclear weapons. So Superman gets all the countries to agree to letting him take all the nuclear weapons. And you know, that may seem like a hard fact to swallow, but hey, he's Superman. What are you going to do? And he has a brilliant idea that he's going to take all the nuclear weapons and throw them into the sun. And nobody saw a problem with this. Not one person saw a problem with this. Also, somewhere along the way, Lex has managed to cut Superman's uncuttable hair to make his Nuclear Man. Apparently Nuclear Man is made preformed with a Nuclear Man suit on I guess you couldn't have him go naked in a kiddie movie, but it's pretty bad. You will follow on to see Superman and Nuclear Man fight in the most girly-ish fighting that you will ever see in any superhero movie. There's clawing, and it's really, really bad. How bad is it? It killed the Superman franchise for years and years and years to come. But hey, maybe it's the reason they said, hey, maybe we should start on Batman now. But here we are, 75 years of Superman. We've had some cool cartoon series since then. Of course, let's not forget The Adventures of Superboy, which was actually a really good show. The first season was kind of darker, and they really got Lex wrong at the beginning of it. But it started to get better, and by the second season, they had to replace Superman. I didn't think they really need to do it, but they got Gerard Christopher, and I'm not sure if I at the time liked him as much as John James Newton, but Christopher had a true passion for the character of Superman, and he really understood it, and he really got involved in the creative process of this series. So all of a sudden, you're seeing a lot more comic bookish elements going to the Superbad series, and truly, if you have not seen Superbad series, I really recommend you check it out. Only the first season, John James Newton's season, has been available for the longest time on DVD. But Warner Archives, I think, recently put out at least the second season with Gerard Christopher, and there's some really great stuff. Sure, some of the effects are cheesy. Sure, it may not be, the big budget stuff, but it is really good. And there's some really dark episodes, especially getting into the third and fourth season. Not sure if they've been released yet or not, but there's an episode where we get to see alternate world Superman, Superman that kills. There's some darkness in there. Now, recently my brother have picked up the Superman stamps, and I am so proud to have those in my collection. I have an amazing person that cares a lot about me, and I'm very lucky about her, and I know that. My cake 2 years ago was Superman. Actually, 2 years in a row. It was Superman oriented. Only last year. Wasn't like Superman oriented. But this set, see this, boys and girls? If you don't have this set, get it. It's fairly cheap to get now, I think. It's one of my only sets that's gone down in price because it's so many of them that were put out there at the time, I think. However, my Friday 13th Mask set, that's become massively expensive. Who would have known? But anyway, happy 75th anniversary Superman. Through the good and the bad, I've enjoyed them all. I've enjoyed the bad films for hilarious fun and drinking games, and I've enjoyed the good films for just keeping my childhood alive. Huge fan of Superman. Really proud that it's Superman's part Canadian, and okay, I've had this. Now it's time to put back the Superman set. Get ready to watch some cheesy horror for you guys, and it's time for tea.